coming into this. There's at least 20 players that have only played one game, and they found themselves at the bottom 4 of just that. So it has to get better. There's no way but up.
The thing is, it's not that hard to be amongst the worst rated players if you lose 0-7. Like, the other games have been a lot closer.
I have a lot of sad fun facts. Do you want to know another sad fun fact?
Yes, give me all the sad fun facts. We're here on a Monday evening.
Not including OCE. All of the other leagues up and running, so about 9 leagues of Siege, there's only been one other 7-0.
Oh, who has it been?
It was against Devil Dogs, I believe it was Elevate that pulled it off. That is the only other game of all the leagues, that's including obviously all the new leagues, the MENA League, the OCE, the SCA, not OCE even, because OCE's had a couple of their own. OCE is just...
OCE's on a different level.
OCE is... on
They're built different.
Hey, what do you think about these bans, friend?
I mean, we're seeing more and more Ying bans ever since the 6th Invitational, of course, came around. Was used quite well, and now being removed by Virtus.pro as well. Thatcher and Cade, I mean, okay, if you've been watching competitive Siege, those two are often on the board, or off the board, I have to say. Those two often get banned. Azami kind of goes for the same. It's one of those oppressive, architecture-like operators that can just rebuild the side however you wish. So removing that is going to be making things easier for the attack to move through. The only one that, well, sort of stands out would be the Ying, but even that, I don't think you can say it truly stands out anymore with the amount of bans we've seen during the 6th Invitational. So nothing out of the ordinary, no funky bans, as some would say. Just another day at the clubhouse office.
Another day at the clubhouse office, and a Russian team. Now, they sort of highlighted on the desk, and if you are one of our more recent viewers, if you sort of come along here with Blast, or not too much before, the team on the left, they were world beaters. They were almost world champions. They were a heck of a roster that's had slight changes since, the most being unfortunately taking them out of play for a while, but they were synonymous with a few maps. The region was. Clubhouse was one of them. They had a routine, they had a rhythm, and nothing is as rhythmic as Clubhouse itself. As we always quote it, it's a step-for-step map. And they had every single step of this Russian dance put together.
See, when I saw Clubhouse, I was like, oh, that might actually be good for TT9. Oh, wait, they're playing against Virtus.pro. I'm not quite sure how that's going to be playing out in the end there. Because as mentioned as well, it's that step-by-step plan. TT9 will be forced to play as a team here, which is, of course, always going to be a bit more difficult when you are freshly formed, because they didn't have too much practice time going in, because they had a different roster initially announced. Then they changed as players like Kento, for example, popped up available. And as we get going, TT9 definitely doing some of that first initial pressure. The opening gets made onto the balcony. Always coming in below, but the hot drone already aware of the fact, though, there's going to be some players up at the top floor need to be hunted down. Pasha is the man they are trying to find.
Yeah, first point of contact, he's watching one drone hole, but the drone, it spotted him. They're going to swing behind it, and there's an easy take. Noah gets the opener off. Pasha is gone. They have a watch on the far side as well. Joystick's going to slip away with the support of Dan. There. Wow, no support now. Kanto, he gets rid of Dan, who was the tour de force performance in Virtus.pro's win in OT against G2 the previous week. So getting them gone early. TT9, they've come back in with his fresh bit, a new idea, new heads, and a fresh bit of vengeance.
So already looks like it could be the best round that TT9 are going to be putting together. Well, you can actually scratch that. It is currently the best round they've been able to put together. Just taking care of those roamers so quickly on. Now you're only facing 3 players on the actual side. You have control of the cameras, which is going to be making things just a little bit easier for the flank watch later on. And now you have the opportunity to just start opening up vertically. You start using that sledgehammer, you start using those breaching charges, you make sure that VP has as little space as you can potentially give them to play in the site before you start executing, because it limits the angles they can play from and limits the positions they can hide in.
A minute on. They've been able to get the Moto hatch open. Now they're going to sort of try and play the game here. Against this, it'll be a juggle of X-Kairos. They're well aware of the fight, and the Sledge is going to make things a little bit more awkward. Shepard with the lineup is ready to loose the C4, but the drop's on Moto. The procs goes off, gives them the idea of Kendru, who's going to go with the width and doubles it down so they can't quite trick the full fight off. That C4 won't quite catch anything, and the pings are coming through. 40 seconds, and the continual ring of the procs gives way to Kendru, who holds on though. The swing isn't one out, they're inside the site, and suddenly it's a flawless opener for TT9.
And that's exactly how they want to start off their second game. After being 0-7, they needed to show that they have what it takes to be here in the Europe League. And they started with a very strong round here against VP, who, mentioned before, took down the reigning world champions on their first game off the stage. And we also have to mention, Emmy, because the whole system has been reworked. There is no more 9 best-of-1s before you head out to the majors. It is just going to be 4 best-of-1s now, right? Which means that if you lose one, on the board, yes, they are definitely on the board. It's improvement.
It's improvement, yeah.
The mental is skyrocketing now in TT9.
You were saying?
Yes, I was saying is that every game counts even more so now than it did before.
Yeah, it's... For some lines, a little bit crazy that we might already know who's getting confirmed from the end of today, potentially.
Yeah, and potentially knocked out as well.
Potentially knocked out. Like, we're waiting for the confirmation of numbers here. It's that sort of new system. When things are new, when things are shiny, you have to try and work things out. It's the biggest upheaval we've had, obviously, to a system in a very, very long period of time, especially in EU. So, fresh tastes, fresh fire, and this, the first round, TT9, they take it very successfully. Now, Virtus.pro obviously did eventually beat G2, but it didn't start entirely locked sure. They had some struggles with the vertical. They weren't quite able to get themselves in against G2 in the early doors. It might be a similar sort of showdown here, where they start to pick apart ideas, start to learn, find a bit of momentum. But TT9 have started this in the perfect way, a flawless off the back of, well, a flawless run against them across the whole game. You couldn't have asked for a better introduction.
You kind of hope that VP is that diesel engine, right? It takes a bit to get going, but after that, it's going to be unstoppable. At least if you're watching that flawless round go against them and you're a fan of them. Of course, might just be that TT9 hat-trick goal. Quick replacement there from the castle barricade, just making sure.
If it's broke, fix it.
Yeah, for sure. Just replace it with an additional one.
Grenade isn't quite going to get anybody. Dan had already moved out of the position here. TT9, they are biting at the heels, the positions, the placements that everywhere that Virtus.pro has decided we want to set up here, TT9 is not too far away. Once again, Noah is being hot droned in. The active drone underneath his feet so he can lead himself into engagements and try and keep his head up into the gunfight instead and really get a true taste of the fights here on T1, obviously. This roster is a bit of a culmination of T1 versus it, and now the second is able to filter its way through. They're going to see if they can try and get rid of that, and Patrick gets the swing, Kendra gets the hop in, Noah gets one more. They can't quite get the lock in, but Noah, he swings the wrong way at first, but almost finds the second fight. It's popped round and Noah gets the lock in. Kendru's dropped, but so has a VP player. Do they know that he's down? Do they know they're coming to find him? Kendru is a living drone. We'll call some of this intel out. Kanto, he's hammering Prano, he's watching. And we are almost on the tippy top of a second flawless round here in a row. Kendru is holding on to his blood as best he can. The grenade hits the corner. TT9 2-0, and only somebody almost dead, but he holds his breath for the round.
Definitely having to give the credit there to Kendru for the initial jump in. Tossed out those Selmas, knew someone was going to go for the push for it, and as soon as they get shot at, he just jumps for it, gets that kill. Noah then digs deep into the site. And from there on, it's written, they have that side control. As effective, you could say, as that roam clear in the very first. And definitely a completely different TT9 we're seeing here against Virtus.pro compared to the one we've seen against Heroic. I mean, we did say that Clubhouse is that map where you have to play as a team. It is that step-by-step plan that you are just checking off boxes for as the round progresses. And that's, well, not really what they did in that last round, because that was suddenly just a pure bunch of aggression coming through. They saw an opportunity, they took it with, well, all 10 hands.
I mean, the way the team sort of came together, I sort of alluded to it a little bit before the play came into motion there, was it's very much a mixed bag. It is going to an old-fashioned pick-and-mix Woolworths sweet store, which is a very UK reference from the 2000s. And you just, you know, when you get loads and loads of different sweets and they're all delicious and you just sort of throw them in the same bag, that is how this roster sort of feels at this moment, because we haven't seen the truest taste. We had half of a game last week from TT9. Now we're getting a little bit more of this game, and it's just those flavors can work. Finding how they work together here, as they've come together in such short notice, is exactly that. Kendrew can make those plays. They have Noah with the drive. Again, hot droned in a certain manner, but it's the Monty getting up right close and personal here on dirt. Noah's just there to make sure they can get the territory and hold on to it. They're going for something very explosive here. They're prepped around the hatch. Shepard's going to give the call and hit some of the impacts here, but look at this. Already with the dirt control, a different map, misses the fight and gets dropped from Kanto. And there it is. The hatch will get popped open. Noah's offering some shoulder support. They're going to hit the pocket EMP. Geesla's getting the rotate round onto the back end. They're forcing Virtus.pro further and further back out the site and further away from where they want to be. Where can they go?
Under impact EMP used there to get rid of the magnet, and indeed, where can they go? At least some good aggression coming through from TT9. Kendrew's just acting as a living piece of... Oh no, that grenade, that bounced back. Didn't kill Kendrew though, as he was able to step away just in time, but it's definitely falling apart slightly now.
Dan finds the first kill for Virtus.pro on round 3. They're looking for the second here. Kendrew, he's under a lot of pressure from the Lesion. He's under even more maybe from his teammate. A flicker of health, and now they've got to rotate off. If they get the call that Kendrew's alone here, it could be a bit of a dangerous swing round via the A-case and the sort of side of the site itself, but they've instead gone for a fully fledged rotate. Looks like they might try and eye up blue, eye up the push around pit itself as well. They're going towards the hatch. They want to play it a bit quiet until they can play it loud. With the one player around Adam, that could be the detrimental moment. If he goes unchecked, and it sounds like they've checked him always, he's got the ping on one, he's slipping past the next, but that was very well closed down.
Good team play there by TT9. 3 players just making sure that one player gets removed. Joystick, though, has taken a position inside of blue, meaning they cannot really go for a drop there without removing him too. So Noah is being dispatched here to try and deal with that issue. A barricade will give away the game. 44 seconds on the clock. It's plenty of time for TT9 to work with here with the advantage they have in hand. The Monty is starting to push through as well to start shepherding these players out of position as Joystick finds a kill before he gets traded out by Noah.
Pasha, he's dancing on the doorway, 30 seconds, and he knows the pressure's coming from pit behind him as well. The Monty's causing issues, but Kanto's going to stick the kid in the meantime. They've got to try and get a bit of width here. The pings are coming through. They're looking for the player, the drop on the shield and the bait of the play, but he cannot get the connection. Noah gets one more. There's Dan off the board, and TT9. It's a closer fight than the first 2 rounds, but it's the 3rd in a row with their name on.
TT9 really bringing it back and really bouncing back after that initial loss they took, saying that's just a one-off. And now a tactical timeout is being called by Virtus.pro. They have seen that things are definitely going the wrong way. They need to get that time now to discuss, because what's going wrong? And if we just momentarily analyze some of these spots, what happened in that first? Good round clear coming through. From there on, it's a 3-on-5 on the site. You just... well, use those numbers to your advantage. The second one, you use utility, and as soon as they are, as VP is trying to deal with that utility, you jump in and take them down. No response they could give there. And what you saw here, the entry kill. Again, someone is coming in to throw an impact grenade out. Monty is seeing this happen. He's like, oh, he has this impact grenade out now. Jumping comes in from Kanto above, shoots him right through the hatch. Entry kill, again, confirmed for TT9. The team play here, the communication is on point, I would dare to say.
I mean, you can't argue. You can't argue with the results. You can't argue with what we're seeing here. The big sort of complaints that were had of this team last week. And okay, we had a different idea of what they did because we only really saw half of their game. We didn't get a proper taste of an attack here from TT9. But there was a coordination problem. There were frequent moments where we found sort of Kendrew alone trying to make plays happen, or the TT9 roster hadn't quite blended together. I go back to my point about how they're sort of thrown into a bag, shaking it up and seeing what the sort of concoction is. This on club, a familiar sort of territory, even for teams that have come together. And it's always that asterisk is you can have teams perform great on club and not great on a lot of other maps. The depth of the pool is the important part that anyone who loves map statistics will always quote at you. But this is what you want from TT9. This has been electric. It's been quick, and most importantly, it's been very responsive towards what is up against them.
They're really punishing the mistakes being made or utilizing the opportunities granted to them by Virtus.pro. So you can only commend them for that. And you mentioned it just now about the map pool. I mean, it's going to be even more important now because if you manage to get through these groups, you're starting to play best of 3. So you got to hope it's not only going to be on club. But it's a good start for TT9, who, again, recently came together, had that 07. They need something for that mentality. Joystick is going to be falling right down into the oil pit right after Noah just went up. Might be receiving a bit of company soon.
Do they know? Well, they're probably going to find out soon. Would have probably heard the pull on the pin there. The grenade is going up underneath the wall itself. The second is held. Joystick, is able to strike. Take care of Noah on the swing round, and the shark swims away deep down to the opposite end. There's big rotate opportunities, and this is the worry now. TT9 has to pay attention towards those back stairs. Oh no, they can't. Kendrew is gone. They've lost the loft, the response attempt with the player. Kendrew wanted to try and strike when it was the sort of 4 versus 4 on the site itself, but with that falling away, suddenly TT9 have 2 bodies, and Joystick is comfortably back close to the site.
I'm just wondering if Gisla's clutch drones already have been destroyed, considering there's 0 in pocket and driving around with a normal drone now, so I don't think any useful hacks have come out. And right now they're trying to see if they can actually deal with the bandit wires that are going to be stopping them from opening up the default breach, often considered step 1. That grenade should have been at least successful, believe it was, as Prano has put down the exothermic. It will blow up as well, and that means the breach has been created. But you're still in a 2-man disadvantage, and the next step is usually to take the garage. How are you going to be succeeding at that? Well, at least take down Shepard for now. That's going to be an injure.
Yeah, the grenade from underneath the roll and the play on the ping, but with 50 seconds, Prano gets the lock off, and they've still got the rest of the site to see if they can try and take hold on. They do not have the control of Rafters. They do not have the control on the opposite side towards Jim as well, and well, how do you force yourself in here? Because either way, you're surrounded. You won't have much territory. You've got to try and win out against Always, but at the same time, look at Pasha, look at Dan. They've got themselves the split angles and the slight breach and the soft wall connecting the 2 sites. They're rotating in. Kanto gets instantly caught out by Pasha. The spray. He's able to find one in the back, but Dan has that cover. Prano's left with no health and a smoke and a smoke and a smoke in front of him. Always might be down, but it just takes a sliver of an impact to stop him. They're still Echo drones. They won the fight out on this player. At this moment in time, it's really just Virtus.pro to throw away. The Echo makes a statement of saying, I'm still here.
It took way too much effort there to get that 1 kill. Time is going to be running out. It's going to be a guaranteed victory here for Virtus.pro in this round. It's actually going to be Pasha that gets the final kill with the shotgun. And Fresh just tossed his arms up like, what are you doing? Anyway. That's going to be 3-1. Right after the tactical timeout, there is going to be a response on the board from Virtus.pro. They're not going to be suffering the same fate TT9 suffered in the last playday. And let's see if they can keep that up now, because they went to CCTV, a site that we often discuss as no longer being very defense-sided. They just managed to win it because they won those 2 individual gunfights in separate parts of the map. Now they're headed back to familiar territory, the gym, which they have lost before. Just looking back at that initial push we saw, it was Kendrew that tossed out the Selmas, jumped in, got the first kill in tandem with Noah just running in to the side, finding 2 and allowing TT9 to start getting that plan down. That's surely not going to happen again. At least you hope it's not going to be happening again, because then
you would hope.
VP is doing something wrong if they aren't able to adapt to the exact same thing that lost them the ramp previously, because it wasn't strategy, it was opportunistic play from TT9 that worked out in that round.
I mean, you need to win the round after the timeout. You need to.
Yes, you do.
You need to have that under your belt, especially against the team that you're up against. You had to stop TT9 early. And as I said, VP, they were slow to grow in their previous map. Their other map that they've played throughout this split in this league so far. TT9, you know, they came in exceptionally hot. They came in exceptionally fast. 2 flawlesses, you can't really argue with that. And here, now we finally have a round against them. And as you said, it was an opportunity they took. But you have to look at what happened immediately after that opportunity to cover the response. They then got 1 more kill on the back of it. They stopped the immediate response and push into the site itself, attempted by Kendrew. They were way more prepared for that quick blind play that Kendrew was able to make so successful last time they were on Gym.
No, for sure. Like they were able to instantly push down, like with the double onto the gap they created. But VP now spread out here, has received a bit of pressure. Now already onto the mezzanine of Garage. He's looking to find himself a way in. A drone will be telling him it's clear for now. No one is watching you as he runs through. Kills Joystick with a C4. And together with Shepard, will find 2 in return. So VP still stays in favor.
Yeah, Shepard, I think, got that kill just through construction window itself. They made sure that there wasn't a sudden surrounding. The C4 removing Noah, he got a kill first, fine. But he had 6 before the previous 2 rounds without dying. So being able to shut down an Iana that was really starting to feel themselves, I mean, you couldn't really ask for a better result than that. How do you try and crack across this? You've lost your 2 entries. You've lost your Ashe. You've lost your Iana. You've still got some options. Sure, the sledge gun can still swing if a bit slower. And, you know, we all know a classic Fragmite. But look at what they're up against. There's 2 C4s. You're on a second story site itself. You don't have control underneath. There's caution. They haven't even been able to breach this. The rest of the hold on the second story, and with the hatches open, they can drop and push with the man advantage all they want. Prano, he's trying to eke out the fight, but at this point, they don't have an option other than maybe coming up with a plan B.
Just continuously being watched in there. They don't really have a safe way through. As always, goes for an aggressive push, finds the trade kill. With that, he drops the diffuser, but it's still going to be giving them an extra bit of an opening. Now Cash is going to be free. They can start to push through, as Prano will find 2 on his way in, and now suddenly it's only up to Dan. How have they given this away? He goes for an aggressive fight, brings it back to a 1v1. He's about 75 HP up against Kanto. The man has a hammer under his belt. Now on a new team for this stage. Is it going to be able to find TT9 another round?
I mean, it really went from all to pretty much nothing there. Obviously, Dan being able to get 1 kill out the end of it, didn't even have the first connection on it. It became a little bit more of a firefight than he probably wanted, but 20 seconds now. Dan, the man from the previous round, as I said, he was technically the top rated on the CCG stats at the start of the day from his performance before. There's a pocket full of seconds. The pings on the player. The Valcam with the call and the read does a little bit of damage, enough to pull back. They're going to go for the second plant, maybe the third here. Round onto the gym equipment. The hatch is open. There it is. This one, he's got a stick. He doesn't really have any other option. Dan, oh, he just pulls off. He hands the round. I'm not sure what he expected, but Dan expected it better.
Time is going to be running out. Maybe some, lacking information. They really didn't have an idea where Dan exactly went, and potentially didn't have drones inside as well that could have told them that, he's not coming from the bedroom. If he is going to be pushing from anywhere, it is going to be the bathroom hallway. But that's going to be an unfortunate loss for TT9 and Virtus.pro. They will be a bit relieved, considering that they had that man advantage. They had Cash still under lockdown. Then after that, we saw the aggressive play go forward from Always, who then trades with Kendrew. But that provided an opening for Prano to move through and pick up a double kill. Suddenly, it was TT9 in the driver's seat again. So Virtus.pro can be very lucky to have Dan on their side, able to win that 1v2 clutch. Realized he was not being challenged by 2 players at the same time, so decided to take those 2 1v1s. And that's the second round for Virtus.pro. Right after that timeout, 2 in a row now. Is TT9 going to be able to make it 4 as we head back to church? It's like they have won twice before. Or is it going to be Virtus.pro making this that even lockout? Something we often see, but mostly on attack, is after you've played 3 rounds, on the start and the opening of the game, you might have lost all 3 on the attack, and then suddenly it's like, okay, so that's how they defend. Let's adapt.
Yeah.
Seeing the opposite right now on the defense. Now, TT9 going to be looking to go for another top-to-bottom clear, I would assume, as it has been providing them with some success. Indeed, as you see right there, openings already being made, drones in position as well. Just soon after, we will see the entry fraggers roll through.
I mean, they were very, very quick on this. We've sort of highlighted the 2 different approaches, both very, very quick. Joystick is maybe the change here. The Oryx, the chance at the rotation background, caused some trouble. I mean, hey, that's how Virtus.pro's return into this game came round, was causing a bit of trouble and going back against territory they thought was fully theirs. Nobody is better for that job than the man who can jump up floors. Instead, they've all dropped down. They're not going to see if they can try and butt heads. For now, there's always options. There's always motions and movements. It really depends how quick TT9 are going to be encircling Virtus.pro.
Is that surprise factor as well that you have with Oryx, right? Like if they don't know you're on there, or if they just for a second do not watch a hatch you're eyeing up, suddenly you can go for a massive flank, pick up a single, maybe even a double kill, or if we go even crazier, just completely shut down the entire push. So that's the opportunity that VP have in pocket. All they need to do now is figure out what hatch is not going to be watched. And considering they left one soft on the top of blue, it's always a good encounter. Like if that's soft and they haven't opened it, which they do now by the way, it means no one was watching. Now they have to worry about it. Now they have to actually get information. Where are all these 5 players before they can try and go for a jump up like that?
It's the longest we've probably had all of the players still on the board for this. They're eyeing up. More slow and steady traditional take here across the top. They've not been able to find the loose sort of firefight they've had before. They've not been able to get that direct control of dirt as they did before. Here it is just traditional focus towards the kitchen hatch, eyes onto the back of blue. TT9, are they struggling to find a catch, or a Virtus.pro just playing themselves a lot trickier this time round into the chance at a quick drop and pressure either way? It has to start rolling through. The first will get caught out there right under the hatch itself. The drone is coming against it. The second hits the ground as well. They've got themselves closest on the main stairs. They're 3 for 3. The drop onto the hatch round on the back of blue itself loses out the fight. Dan gets one more on the back and a second for his name. And well, they tried to throw themselves at the problem, but the problem is definitely rearing its head. Dan, a triple. Kendrew left alone. They opened the half with a flawless. Well, they opened it with 2, and unfortunately they end in the opposite end. 3 apiece.
No proper pressure there from TT9 coming down in that final round. And with that, I mean, if you look at the first, they find those 2 roamers up on top. Suddenly you have that man advantage. You can bring the pressure with bodies. The second time they attacked, they had the Monty coming in from the dirt tunnel, was able to basically dislocate some of these players. You had these grenades coming through, you had information. Now they really didn't have anything. They opened up the hatches. Noah just went for a drop through, hope for the best in that regard, but got shut down quickly after, together with some of his teammates. And that basically shut down the entire attack TT9 was going to go for, because they were not going to be able to go for either of those 2 conditions that brought them success in the earlier rounds.
Okay, TT9, let's see what we've learnt. Now we head on to the defense. We get the opposite end. It's 3 apiece. They obviously still have their tag timeout. They have the chance of being able to take that if they wanted to. And you've also got to look at how this game could shape up the main board itself. Obviously, there's still a few games left to play, and this is, for TT9's sake, the first of a run of 3. But if this goes away from them, then you're looking at the 3rd place team suddenly jumping up, and there being 4 points between them and 3rd, whatever else happens. And that's dangerous when you've only really got a couple of games left to try and pull that back.
Again, because what you're just saying right now, for those that are just tuning in or haven't really been paying attention to the new format, Blast has created for Siege. There's only 4 best of ones now in the group stages before we head towards the next phase to decide which teams are going to be making it to the major. If you lose 2 or 3 of those best of ones, the chances are you're already out of contention for the major. Like, your stage is done. You can start preparing for the next one in, well, let's say half a year.
Now, obviously, TT9 weren't able to get a single defense against Heroic in the previous game of the 6 they attempted. Can they start off with a bit of a bang as they did before? Joystick, well, he keeps them at bay, but Brano suddenly pops out of nowhere, gives the support and a lifeline to a player, then loses out to Dan. Didn't truly need to swing that, maybe thought it was a bit clearer than it was. Either way, it's sort of a bite back. An important one there, I think, for Virtus.pro.
It definitely is. It's also the solace of the board, one of the newest operators we have in our lineup. And, you know, it is also very great at finding drones. That's the main goal of Solace. But it also allows you to, well, find out where some of the utility is placed. Talk about X-Scars when they're being placed. Talk about Claymores if they're on the board, or Exothermics being ready. Just gives you that extra bit of information about where these players might be located at. That's all off the board now. Still going to have to rely on these Valkyrie cameras, though, if they want to do that off-site. Otherwise, the mirror window's coming into play. Noah, on a bit of a roam. He's finding himself all the way up at the top floor, roaming around the construction, and has free game. No one there. Nothing there to stop him. No flank watch utility. Could be on for a massive round here.
That's it. With the Jackal gone, usually when a Jackal's in a lineup, it's sort of a full faith routine. They might have heard that drop. They didn't. They cannot win it. Noah is able to get the second served up on the bar, and Virtus.pro, a big error. They find him on the tail end in the bathroom, but the damage, I think, has been done from the flank. The double kill absolutely took the wind out of their sails now. They're trying to rotate, maybe see if they can get a catch on the opposite end. If there's a single loose player, they know that somebody's behind the bar, or the box even. There's the mirror window that's keeping a watch. They're going to try and pinch the player, force the motion. There it is, a great take. Always is in. He looks for the next fight, but 20 seconds. They got to see if they can try and isolate either of the sides. The mirror window gives the C4 the perfect route, and Shepard, he's tucked. They've retaken the back end. They've got the watch right on the default plant spot. The spray goes a little bit too high. He's going to hold. No, he's going to pop back up. Cannot get the full connection. Nobody can. He's on a pistol. And TT9 just eke out the round.
The flank from Noah being absolutely crucial there. You mentioned it. The Jackal's gone. Nothing there to stop them anymore. All they could have had was a flank drone upstairs to try and realize where Noah was coming from. There was nothing else to protect them. No claymores, no air jabs. There was no gridlock track stingers on the board. Nothing like that. So Noah drops down. He gets that first. That was huge. He shouldn't have gone the second, though.
No,
that should have been a punish right away.
I mean, it's just that sort of connection. It's something that they lacked last time round. As we said, the biggest highlight was the synergy was missing from some of TT9's play. There it was, obviously, that little bit of a moment. As you said, the first, I mean, you don't hear the drop. There's stuff going on. That really should have been a lockout and a lockdown there. And I mean, it'll be a kill that might bite them depending on the result of the game itself. It definitely bit them on the round itself. It's a frustrating way to go. But TT9, they've pulled themselves ahead once again. Remember, at one point this game was 3-0.
Yes.
It's something that they'll remember and VP will remember as well.
Still, it's a massive improvement so far from TT9 compared to what we've seen last week. So.
I mean, they got one defense. They've already improved.
They got one defense. They got a couple of attacks. So, you know,
technically, they're
statistically massively improved from what we're seeing.
If you were to look at it
so improved
on a line graph,
it's off the charts.
It's up there. Exponential growth.
I don't even know. Like
some Des business words.
It's infinite growth.
Why he sits on this side, doesn't he? It's a bit sticky here.
Yeah, I saw it as well. I don't know what he did there.
Oh,
that's an entry.
Yep, there goes Noah. No way you're going to be able to pull off the same tricks this round. Ha ha ha, always.
So smooth.
He was a little bit quieter compared to this game, but he's always been Mr. Consistent. That's the sort of role that he's filled on this roster. He's made sure that he kind of consistently gets that 1.0 KD. He keeps himself fighting. He's on the sledge roll. He's getting the lead in there, and I mean, taking care of business. That's sort of the always way.
Next up, breach will be made. This one is coming to the CCTV side. This is just to provide some depth to VP. Now they have the opportunity to attack Jacuzzi, but also to attack from CCTV. That way you might be able to go for a bit of a pinch attack onto the actual site later on. At least you're going to stop them preventing or stop them from running all the way through. With these long angles being created now as well for Cash, Joystick is going to be able to stop any rotation back from the actual constriction at the same time. So what you do right now is you start isolating the players on the actual site. I think Gisela is going to be the first one to find himself in at least a bit of a battle. He's looking to go out aggressively. Now, has been spotted by the drone, I'm almost pretty sure. That means a grenade might be following up to him soon. Does he have an ADS ready for himself?
I mean, that's the worry, that's the pressure. Look at this, Virtus.pro, they're just surrounding it. Two players are trying to fight their way back up the main stairs. The Solus is playing underneath as well. They're sort of able to get one across, but not for very long. There's only a single player inside the site. They're trusting the Solus and a lot of the softs and maybe the rotation of the drones. They get it down on one. They don't get the pickup on the back. Kendrew, he's gone onto the back end. They're trying to find the player, but well, if there's a Solus underneath, all you got to do is get yourself hopped up onto the bed. And they cannot quite get you. It's a very steadily made one, and there it is. It doesn't matter what he does from that angle. He's not going to stop the plant. He's got to fight his way up. Another flawless here. That is our 5th of the game. 2 have gone Virtus.pro's way, and the 4 of this game. I can count.
Yeah, I was like...
The 2 of TT9 have been a long, long way.
I was like, looking, it's like, where's
Listen, it's been a long time since I've had to do any math.
Tactical timeout. You gotta clarify.
Yeah, I mean, it sort of makes sense there. You cannot argue with how that was played. Virtus.pro read that, well, there's not really much on site. They obviously got the very early take, And then they went, well, let's take sight. They watched the rotate. That's the most important part. Before they went for the execute onto the player, they had themselves watching the top of main stairs, and there was hot pings on the players that tried to come up, sort of making the statement, if you come up here, you will die.
Yeah.
And then one of them went, I'm going to try it, and died. And the other one went, I'm going to rotate around to the other side, and died. It was so well watched there from Virtus.pro, every side, every angle, every facet,
So
before they made the statement of, here's the diffuser.
what it felt like to me is that maybe TT9 was looking to bank too much onto the Echo and to the Solace, right? Because they had both of them downstairs.
Yep.
Looking to see if they could catch the planter off guard or someone else. They have impacts, they have yokai drones. What happens is you also rely on your teammates to stay alive in the side a little bit longer so you can waste as much time so those yokai drones could come into play.
Well, that's entirely it.
And that didn't work.
You gambit behind a play like that. It can be done. We've seen it be done. But the biggest thing about a play like that working is time.
Yes.
Time has to be sub like 30 seconds for people to even be close to being panicked of like, they're underneath me, like, you have to have an idea there. Sure, once upon a time, Echo was invisible and could really divide around. Sure, there are a lot of places where it's tricky to get a diffuser down, but anyone worth their salt with that kid in their pocket, which we know Shepard is, will just go onto bed.
I don't even think
up onto this.
At 10 seconds, VP will start stressing. Have you ever seen their faces when they're playing?
That's it.
There's no emotion there.
It really comes into that idea of experience. Is a Solace peppering up against Shepard, all he's going to do is go,
Bed.
I've got to go somewhere safe.
In Russian.
He has knowledge of wherever that is.
Yeah. And every side has that safe spot, and every team will be fully aware of it. And if you know it's a 5v1, last one is a Solace, you're not going to risk it planting a default spot. You're just going to go to whatever is the safest at that point. Kendra's going to attempt to run out with a P90. He's going to go for some quick swings, doesn't see anything, also doesn't want to get spotted. He's just going to be waiting. Actually using the SMG-11 for that. It's going to be
I mean,
very long shot to hit.
Yeah,
P90 is a bit of less recoil.
It's not going to be easy.
It's definitely not easy, no.
But is doing anything in life ever easy? Noah, he's under a bit of pressure. Nobody is going a bit higher. They've sort of got the angle here, and well, Pasha's drifting himself wider and wider. Kendrew pulls himself back round. He's not really getting a single bite here.
It's going to have to go back towards the side because VP's eyeing up on taking that garage under control. And this is going to be a way more useful spot, but only doing that punch is going to be distracting the players out there on the garage side of things. It's like, oh, we might be watched now. We have to be careful to not overstay our welcome. Noah up top of those mezzanines, he's the key to this round. If he dies, VP can take that garage under control pretty freely and then start hammering down onto the side.
Oh, Kanzo, you could sort of see the rappel happening. He had some eyes. Joystick swings in. Noah took the dive to try and get out of there. And, well, two fights have happened simultaneously. One of them, there was a lot less awareness, I think, and it suddenly allowed this a quick drive up the stair set itself, past the ADS, past any control that they had here over the top. Giesler's going to hold on to the best of his ability. Kendrew's got himself there, propped onto construction window, making things a bit awkward. Always is watching the rotate underneath with the sort of pressure points and the hits. They sort of have this backline and, well, it's theirs. They might try and beeline themselves to a plant behind the CCTV cabinet in the middle of the room. There's this C4 that can try and stop it a bit. Now there isn't always. He gets one. Kendrew gets himself tucked underneath. That's Prano holding onto the back end. Kendrew needs to swing at the right time. There's nobody watching him to try and pull off that play. Hey, remember when I said the power of this in the 30-second game? Well, they've got the reveal on one. Cannot win it out, and there it is. Hey, that's a fifth floor.
Good round coming down from Virtus.pro there. It's all we have to say. They managed to get those two very early entries. They got Garage, and we mentioned on how much Clubhouse is that step-by-step plan. And I'm just going to be recapping that round. They open up the balcony. They get that kill onto Adam, which wasn't really part of the plan, but it's nice if you get that.
It was just siege timing.
Afterwards, Noah jumps down because he feels like he's under pressure because he was going to be like approached from the steps, he was going to be approached from the door and from the breach below. He needed to make something happen, but by doing so he gave away the garage. And it was still 1:10 left on the clock. So what does Virtus.pro do? Get themselves in position, figure out where is these last three players. Find one, go for the execute. Nothing will stop them.
I mean, it's the sort of fantastic thing there about what Virtus.pro did was they had an opportunity. You could see that they were fishing for one. They spent the whole time weighing up options. They were preparing a pretty standard approach there on towards the top of the rafters. But they got that one kill, they snapped into action onto the second, and then they didn't stop snapping until they were right up against the line of the site. They had themselves a windfall, and they sailed the breeze all the way in to the top. We have now lost the Solace. They've swapped off, obviously. Different site, different place. Church, the one that was won before here by TT9. They might be able to pull themselves level from the back foot. The first time they've been on the back foot throughout the whole game.
TT9 has been doing really well till this point, because now you're starting to see the cracks appearing in the actual roster there, because I think they've actually tried to rely too much on the Solace right there, because every single time they drop down, it's like, well, we can stop the plan that way, whilst maybe a gun on the side would have been the actual option they should have stuck with, as it could have been the differentiating factor. Right away, they swapped off it. Things have changed. We are back in Church and Arsenal, so back into the basement floor. As an opening has been made, the drone comes out from Joystick. Dan, he's just going to hold tight for now, because we have seen players from TT9 and VP alike try and play inside there, but as some Scorpion shots get sent over, Dan realizes he is going to be pressured and doesn't want to stick around.
In the meantime, Pasha taking a very long firefight there from the AC units, and well, Dan's going to try and close down from the back end. There's a bit of a scrape over the top of Noah. He's being droned out. You can see Virtus.pro once again. They're circling. They're trying to bait and waste the time here. Remember what cost them last time. It was a Noah rotate from a sort of open hatch. And Prano with a kill with a Razor Bloom. Okay, that's a sort of pocket statistic. Dan does find a bit of revenge. But you do wonder where that popped off.
Not quite sure. It might have been in combination with a goo mine, because you are slow. It's going to be more difficult to actually walk outside of the range of the Thorn. Noah, though, is being spotted out. It's only a matter of time before he dies. Just the wall bang should be enough. There you have it. Pasha finds him. Noah didn't feel safe enough to walk out. Think he could have made a stand from the bathroom, but instead loses his life. And that's the roamers taken care of. At least, so they think. Because Gisela is still out there. He's still holding onto the hatch with that mirror. He could either drop, or he could go aggressive horizontally and stop them from playing these hatches.
Well, that's it. We talk about a loose thread player being the problem last time. It was an even hand that suddenly was tipped entirely against them here. And Gisela wants to be in that position to strike. Always, he'll get hit by a goo mine. There's a little bit of a deep dive rotation there. He's suddenly on the other side of a very thin wall, and if he goes unchecked, this could be devastating. The slow rotate, they've moved themselves off. They're back above the hatch he was on once upon a time. He's looking for the strike, but he cannot win it out. Shepard gets a huge kill. Remember, he's been in this power position. We talk about the calm. Pasha on the back end of Blue is able to find one out. Kendry does get the drop on the hatch, but Pasha has one more there, and suddenly we find ourselves here sitting on map point. TT9 are 2 adrift, but they might find themselves 4 adrift of 3rd place if this continues.
Yeah, it wouldn't quite be a knockout yet, but it's definitely getting close to a knockout blow that they might be handed by VP in that matter. 6-4 match point. And what happened there, like, I mean, Noah tried to take a stand, didn't quite succeed. After that, it just all started to connect. It's that one flank that got shut down because there was someone watching it. Noah already struck once, so we're like, that's not going to happen again. We're just going to be making sure that this hatch stays under our control until we actually go for the execute. That's when we start focusing on the actual objective. Now, do or die for TT9. You have led by 3 rounds in this game, ever since you've only been able to pick up a single more. You need to find these defenses. You need to find them quickly. We talked about how they already improved compared to the defenses here today as we look back onto their 0-7 game on Heroic, and definitely they have made big strides throughout those 2 games already. It's literally night and day that we've seen so far, but it's starting to slip a little bit back towards these habits that we saw against Heroic. And that is a scary prospect.
I mean, it's obviously the tougher half of their game. The majority of it was at the very start of this showdown, and well, maybe one of my theories is proven correct. The Virtus.pro are a little bit more of a late game team. They really warm up into these engagements in the single day best of 1. I mean, You sort of don't really have that true test. Dan almost suffered.
His drone took the bullets for him.
His drone valiantly driven into the way, because I guess it didn't really have autonomy. It was driven.
Yeah, it was driven by Dan.
But he saved
Thanks to my legs.
We'll say it was the play of the century. Saved his own life.
Well, that's you got to take credit for that one at that moment in time. Where Kenta looking to lean in a little bit. They know they're in the garage right here. Is he going to be able to find success? Because definitely a bit of pressure coming through. Hasn't found a single connection with any of those FBX bullets until just now. Takes down Pasha, player outside as well. He's going to go for a second. Not quite yet, always, just barely lives.
I mean, Kento, he's doing a lot of damage there underneath. He's got himself tucked just on the side of the half wall, the hop, and as the attention's paid towards the top floor, well, it's not even the site itself. You've always got to remember this. The game that's being pushed and pressured here isn't one towards Jim. Instead, they're having all of their focus driven and wasted here onto the other side. Joystick has gone for a big rotate. He's found himself in a new position. They're going to see if they can try and drive a grenade from underneath up towards the soft floor beneath Giza, but well, always just wins the fight out there, takes the drop, and they wanted to get themselves to rotate. This grenade won't get the catch there, a little bit too short. The second, well, they've already left.
Kenta wanted to go for the fight there, got punished, but at least that made sure always wasn't able to get that grenade kill he was looking for. Joystick, though, is finding himself on the main stairs. He's slowly creeping up. No one has an idea about him being there. Dan is going to go in, finds Brano. Brings to a 4-on-3 suddenly. VP again in favor with just that single round between them and winning this with a 3-pointer.
I mean, it was a gamble position there, Prano. He got himself quite aggressive, tucked up round on the window, wanted to see if he could win the reaction fight. It was taken out. Do they know about Joystick? Is going to be the fun game that we find ourselves playing at about 10 seconds as he goes for the slow creep up. The camera will get the reveal, the drop around, the rotate onto the back, and Gisela wins an important firefight from Logistics Door, suffers the scrape, but then catches the rotate through. Dan goes down. They have almost the third under their belt. They're putting pressure onto the opposite side of the mirror window. There's Shepard with the drive-through of the kit. He wants to try and win the swing engagement. It's not being offered to him. Noah has the split side as well. He's going to rotate his way back into the site, and there is a TT9 round. The first in a while, but only one separates them from getting to OT.
Well held on there by TT9 because Joystick, he was lingering around those main staircases for so long. If there was only like a little bit of earlier support or a bit of pressure coming down from the logistics office, there could have been some success there either way. VP, 6-5, still match point. TT9, they need a single one more to find themselves with points on the board. And even if they still lose it in that matter, right? Even if they lose it in OT, they have that point on the board. Suddenly, the gap isn't as big to bridge anymore. They prefer to win. Don't get me wrong, everybody does. They're here to win, not to get points. But they also need to look at the 0-7 there, and if they manage to find points here today against Virtus.pro, that is a massive win already, and it keeps them in the fight.
I mean, there's always sort of... It's the strange statement that you make in a league where you go, they need these points. Okay, yeah. Obviously.
Yes, of course.
You always need points.
Why else would you be playing in a competitive league?
There's no better response towards the team that's sort of taken the reigning world champions.
Yes.
As to then take them bouncing back from an 0-7. And sure, there's so much coulda, woulda in that. There's so much, well, he beat me and I beat him and whatever. But at the same time, it's still a confidence booster. It's still... We've not been a roster for the longest amount of time. We've done this against these historic players. Where is our limit? The limit currently is potentially one more round, or it might be a little bit more of a drive.
I like these Capcan traps, by the way. On the side, they are, you know, probably going to be triggered late. Because normally that is not the first entry point you go for. And what I expect is one of the VP players will be going there later on to put some pressure down. Den walks in as the execute happens to take a swing to the right. Gets instantly blown up by the entry denial devices. And that would be a free kill if they don't drone it out first, which is usually what happens here. Noah with a very dangerous rotate back out from the jacuzzi wall. Probably hurt the rappel and knew he wasn't under an immediate threat, but... Still a dangerous one to take as Prano almost loses his life out there.
Yeah, Prano's off on the width. And I was going to raise a little bit of a question. Now I'm going to highlight that. Is what is Joystick achieving with the Jackal? I don't think we've really seen too many players get caught out. They've had a confidence to move around the map, and Joystick suffered multiple times whilst being in the role on that side of an entry. And, you know, Jackal's not the most common pick. Buck is, but Giesler's able to find Dan, remove him from the board, and suddenly TT9 have a 2-body advantage. They have full control of the map still as well. Looks like we're heading to an OT, Hap.
Looks like we are going for overtime because still players around on the top floor didn't get droned out. So as soon as they start knocking onto the side on the side of VP, those two players are going to be coming back. They're going to be striking them right in their backs. And as always, we'll find Noah first. Is he going to go for the swing? No, he's not. He's just going to run down the staircase, steps into another goo mine, and that's going to be the cue potentially for Noah to start moving up. At least Kanto will. And those two players, those can really deny VP their full point victory here. As they start opening up on the kitchen, just making sure all that verticality is taken care of. Stop them from using these spots. But surely something should start to ring right now. Where are these players?
Oh, Pasha desperately wanted that kill. Kendrew got so close to being dropped. You're looking at some damage done to Prano and Kanto and Noah as well. It won't take much to push them over the brink, but the important part is the drive itself here. The pressure onto pipes. Prano's got himself tucked quite aggressively there, hoping somebody goes for the default plant. Instead, they've dropped for the opposite end, and suddenly they all move round. Pasha cannot win out the fight. It's all across the board there, but the kit removed is the main important part. Always on the back end of the A case, they pretty much know where he is. They're not giving him anything for this, and a 3 versus 1. The Wit finds the first. The second gets him back, though. TT9 pull themselves over the line. We're going to OT.
And with that, we've seen these 12 rounds. Points are on the board for TT9, also for Virtus.pro, but they are looking for that victory as they want to go for that top 3. Currently, they're inside. But, you know, will they be at the end of the day? That's always that big question. And actually, I was just thinking about this. I mean, you know how in some sports they have that, like, tournament championship belts that, you know, you carry along if you get the champion? And
you mean in wrestling?
Yes, that was it. Sorry.
I don't know of any other sport that has a belt.
Either way, the wrestling championship
I would
belts.
love the Champions League to have belts.
Either way, if we use that system, VP is the current world champion. Right? Because they beat G2. They have
Okay, you're talking about we beat the world champion belt, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
If TT9 win this, the team that was formed like 5 days before the start of the season, they'll be the current reigning champions according to that system.
Yeah, that's true.
It's fun to keep track of throughout
A
the rest of the stage.
Winners devised and decreed by who has a belt is... I mean, it works for wrestling. Why can't it work for Siege?
Yeah, I was going to say.
There was a... I want more Siege wrestling call-outs. Was it Jinxie did one for Bolo in a 1 versus 1? That's the content this world needs.
We need to start working on that. So.
You need...
We should start doing
pro players,
intros.
Please call... Yeah. Oh my god. Anyway. 6 apiece. Virtus.pro, they lead in with their defense. It's been an even-handed game. But if you look at just their half, their last 3 defenses were all successful. They had a good drive. They had a good sort of end to it. And that's that sort of thing that might worry TT9 at this point. Sure, they've just clawed 2 rounds in a row. It's been a bit of a back and forth of we take 3, you take 3. There's only been a singular break in that 3 apiece meta. Now they are lined up to get their 3rd here. They're trying to find an in. They're trying to find this on the slower and steadier approach. The one difference is Giesler on the Nook, but nobody is offering themselves to them.
It's a very heavy turtle right here from Virtus.pro, right? They're not giving any of these roamers. This was the successful round they had in round 6 back when they were on the defense. Not give them any roamers. Make sure there was no multi to take control of the dirt tunnel as well. And you're just not always playing out there. He's contesting that. He's making sure they don't really gain any ground there, even though I believe they're looking to take it as we speak. Cameras are being watched. He's now about to be moving through, of course, the Nook. And there's going to be C4 to pop off onto Kanto. It's going to be the sledge removed. That's some big utility gone. Grenades and the ability to open up vertically. It's definitely something VP will be happy with.
Now, what are you going to do? We've talked about the importance of time. We've said, hey, it's something you've got to keep an eye on. It's something they could have wasted before. And, well, they're playing what can be a bit of a strict direct. You're looking at Prano. You're looking at that Ossa. You're looking at maybe an opportunity to tuck yourself onto a side. It's not quick to deploy that Talon shield, but once it's down without these impacts that are being utilized primarily to try and stop the break, there's the Nook, and they are knocked out. The trade is an important one with Dan being the successor. Prano with the pressure onto Moto on the far end. They're trying to route their way around. There's a potential chance onto Blue itself. Where are they going to go? Prano pulls himself away from Moto, heads over towards Kitchen and tries to double up here with Kendrew. They want to find a single strike, or they will at least want to make sure there's a single bit of support there. The camera is still in place on the opposite end. Prano's trying to force some growth. Always stacked himself back up. Dirt is secure for the rest of this round. 30 seconds, and look at Pasha getting himself tucked round. They're making sure now that, sure, it's a turtle, but it is a very big boy.
Very big turtle as Pasha just dancing around with Noah here. Neither can spot the other as he goes outside. Kendra finds him from the main stairs. Prano takes a lot of damage. Kendra needs to go aggressive now. Are they going to go and try and attempt to plant? Yes, they want to, but the diffuser gets dropped cold. 7 seconds and only Kendra left for TT9. He finds one, but there's not enough time to find the last two, and that means Virtus.pro again will find themselves on match point.
Second round to come down to time. This one had a lot more players left standing by the end of it, and a bit of a mad dash towards the fight itself. TT9, they are once again staring down the wrong end of a match point, this time with the devastating overtime before it. But, you know, it's been sort of back and forth. It's been all to play for. They won their first and their most recent defenses. They have themselves a good bit to try and drive themselves to the 7-7 here. Can they just go that little bit extra distance? The Doc in the role of Noah. They've pulled off the Legion, pulled off their play around the top 2 floors, you assume, but hey, a Doc roam on club, it's not the most.
I mean, it might be just to
it's not
himself back
the
up
rarest thing, exactly.
The 2 times I had success in Church, relying on that roam. The first one was the Noah double kill coming down as he dropped the hatch.
'Twas.
The second one was actually round 12, where we had 2 players left up top. Kenta was one of them. They managed to strike back and made sure that they really didn't have a way to get back in, and basically forced VP to fight in a sandwich, which didn't work out for them. So, that round was successful. Are you then going to be doubling down on it? Noah had been spotted, but he's taken down the drone he was spotted from. And that's going to be a punch hole, but no one seems to be coming from that direction yet.
You can say a lot of things about Virtus.pro, and to be honest, one of the things I would say is cautious. They're less likely to go against one of those sort of plays, but as the lockdown comes on Jacuzzi Wall, it's Pasha that finds Prano as the lead-in. I'm not sure if he was going for a peek. Yep, there he was. Right onto the window. Either way, he's caught and locked out. And, well, that's the worry about your sort of stretch holes on this site, is if the middle floor falls, there's not many places you can escape to.
Now, this is just one of the 2 roamers they have about. Actually, 3 roamers, because Kanto and Noah are still about. They're still fighting, and I believe there's someone out in the stock room as well. So, very aggressive here. I think you can see if there's anybody there. Now, that's not going to be the case. And thus the rotate comes down. Noah, Kenta both going down back towards the side, I would assume. Maybe Noah will stick around on that middle floor just to see if he can make life difficult for VP, because they've already lost the entry. They do not want to be giving away more, but they also don't want to give him space, because 1 minute 40 for VP to start opening up these hatches and eye up a plant, well, that's more than enough for them to make that work.
That's it. They have a lot of time, a lot of favor, and oh, they might have a bit of trouble coming through. Kanto is watching for the rotate. The Bucks trying to catch them on the back end, but they're not fully feeding themselves in. Noah is sort of drawing all the attention, tries to stick the firefight itself, slips out and will get himself juiced back up. Kanto, they were surrounding him, and then they all pulled away. There's one close to the door. Gisla's not that far away as well. They've sort of held on and against the tide survived. And that minute, that motion, that dedication towards this fight by Noah and by Kanto might pay off dividends.
And Kanto and Gisla have fallen back, but Noah's still out there on Adam. It's going to be a blow-up from a C4, and Noah gets shut down. 4v3 still in favor of VP. The mirror window should be taken care of by the Excaris, unless they have something to do with it, as Kendrick finds always on his way back towards the site. A fair on 3v3 with 40 seconds left on the clock. TT9, can you hold on? Can you bring this all the way to 15? Or is Joystick, Pasha, or Shepard going to be stopping you from doing so?
They've got themselves with the kitchen hatch open. There's a bit of the reveal of the single player on the back end at least. They're going to see if they can try and get themselves down to the default kitchen plant, but They're a bit concerned about the attention being paid to it. The close tuck player to the left-hand side. They're right underneath the hatch drop. Kendrew, he's in a position where he hopes he doesn't get checked, but can define the round if it comes to it. It's about to come to it. He looks his way around. He's able to get the first. He looks for the second. They're still above. They're swinging themselves down onto blue. Kanto gets the lock. Shepard on the back end. We are going to all the rounds.
Headed to 50.
Dez. Imagine if he started changing things up. We're going to all the rounds.
Is that going to be the call?
We've gone to some of the rounds, Dez.
Last week it was all 7 they played.
Gimme.
They've at least doubled that this week.
Give me an A. Give me an L. Give me all the rounds, Dez. Tim, if you're listening, you can use any of these.
We're just, you know, brainstorming. We're Emmy's brainstorming for new ideas for you there.
7 apiece. TT9, they have clawed themselves back in. It was always possible. It was always likely. I mean, here we are at the end of a game that, let's be honest, a lot of people expected it to be a much quicker affair for Virtus.pro here. They have been sort of blindsided by, yes, a much improved performance here at TT9, but there's also been a couple of ball drop moments, I think, from Virtus.pro.
For sure, they've definitely dropped some opportunities there, and I think, I mean, you mentioned it before, like, how much did the Jackal really help them? Which they've brought for so many rounds. Would a Dokkaebi have been a better choice? Would a Nomad have been a better choice? A Zero maybe to get some extra cameras
there was a lot that was just sort of missing, I think, from that side, and you know, working out the position of where to put him. Obviously the kit, when it is in the pockets of Kendrew, and they're deciding to play an operator that has a habit of zipping themselves towards a plant. There's a couple of hatches that you can get yourself up right under. Oh, that's where he's heading.
That's what I was thinking as well.
Yeah, he is going for an attentive drive here. He's hoping the call will come out from Kanto at the same second. They can sort of keep them very occupied with the attention. They're still going to do the work. It's a big map. You don't want to throw away the chances here of the win early on, but expect Kendrew to break his way up through that hatch.
You could technically have a couple people on the balcony watching through those windows, making some noise. At the same time, of course, the phone call goes off, and Kendrew should have a somewhat safe way to go through. But you mentioned it, you don't just want to risk it on just that play. You need to have that security.
They're hunting this drone.
They are very, very determined.
But Shepard needs to pay a bit of attention because this wall gets pop open. And as I said, you know, there might be a Maestro bubble in the room. Who stops you being able to use that? Oh, a Dokkaebi call that will come out and lock them out of any of their cams or their gadgetry. They've had to rotate themselves back round. They're prepped up, joysticks on the side of the bed. He's going to be the big problem. Any player in that position should be able to strike down anyone that comes up through the hatch. But Kendrew, he's getting himself in closer position here. They've got the drone out underneath, just getting the clarification. Yep, you can move in, you're free. The site there is free itself. There it is. Rolls its way up. Kendrew's gonna shoulder shimmy and shake towards the hatch. Are you ready for this, Hap?
The shield on the bed is going to be a determining factor right here because Joystick can just see him go in and take him down as he does. Or if he falls, it's going to be the crucial deciding factor here. They're ready for it. Joystick watching for the window dropping, but that's not where it's going to be coming from. The jumping is there.
Oh, he's up. He's behind the wall, and he's holding on. They're spraying over the top. They've got to win the kill. Joystick gets it. Kendrew has to pull up, but he gets dropped down. The back end, Dan and Giesler find one apiece. TT9 still have the body advantage, but Dan puts a very quick stop to that. They rotate their way back round. They're seeing if they can keep a hold onto the site itself. Misses out. The worst point to look away, and Prano, he is all that's left. 40 seconds, he wasn't in a position to stop that rotate that came all the way around the back end. The cover onto the stairs itself. They're not going to take the bite. They know he's got to try and get the plant down, and there's still problems inside. Look at that bubble he's just drawn eyes to that stares with its big cycloptic eye right into the back end. The Valcam is the final, and Virtus.pro push themselves over towards the end and take the win.
They definitely went for a attempt right there in the end with the Amaru, hoping to go for a bit of that shake-up, but because of that one player on the bed, I mentioned it before, that was going to be the crucial factor. Wasn't able to be picked up. They have to get off the diffuser at that point because the cover just isn't there simply to get that plant down. But TT9, they fought